This is Due by Friday, the weekly challenge podcast with Merlin Mann, Alex Cox, and Max Temkin. This week's challenge, use the app Todoist. Hey, Merlin!
Hey, how's it going, Alex? Hey, that's a spicy meatball.
Okay, so here's the situation with the 25th anniversary Les Mis concert.
Oh, boy, I've been waiting
very
for this.
bad. It's not good.
No, not good.
Almost not good. Almost the whole cast.
Come on!
No, I don't like the cast. I don't like the
Ugh.
cast, and I don't like the songs. I think they're bad. I think they're like. So here's what I think they're doing is like.
Oh my god.
I think so. I think it's too schmaltzy, but also like I think they sort of like. There's something weird about the delivery of all the lines. They're like a little off cadence, or like a little. It's just like timed a little bit weird.
They're a little late.
A little on everything though. It's like a constant.
I really noticed this. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but Borat and his wife, when they do their lines, it sounds like there might be like a delay in the monitors or something.
But so here's what's
I don't think it's a Frank Sinatra move. I think it sounds like it's late.
Here's what's happening. Here's what I think is happening is everyone who did this show is just like steeped in Les Mis, and they're intimately familiar with it. So it's like when you listen to a record a million times and then you see the band live. And when the band does it live, like sometimes they'll do it a little syncopated or they'll like do it out of rhythm. And it's like, it's fresh. It's like, ooh, like I can really hear this new again because it's a little bit off. You know, it's kind of off in a interesting way. And I think that's what's happening here is they're like, oh, here's like an interesting take of like we're going to do this on the off beats and it's going to be a little out of rhythm and catch you off guard a little bit. But it just to me I don't want that. I just sing the song. That's what else am I here for?
Yeah. Oh,
Now,
there's so much to talk about.
In contrast, the 10th anniversary edition has made me very much enjoy the music of Les Mis, and I've been listening to it a lot.
I'm so sorry
and I really
you didn't
like
like
it.
this, Max. I feel so bad about it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you've taken the time to watch and listen to this music enough to have a strong opinion about what the top 3 performances are. I just feel bad that I was involved in making you listen to this horrible thing that you obviously hate.
Well,
The fact that you changed your Twitter bio, the fact that you now consistently make word for word perfect references to Les Mis on Twitter. I want to say it's a very bold, brave statement. I want to apologize on behalf of the podcast you used to be on. I'm sorry we did this to you. I feel like I should resign. I feel like I should step down. I feel like the important anti-Semitic work of this podcast is going to be hindered by the fact that I have needled this poor man, this poor impoverished game maker in Chicago. I made him, it wasn't even my challenge, but I want to take responsibility. They're looking down. He's looking down and smiling right now.
I'm not that man. I'm a new man. I've sold my soul to God.
You got people to take care of at your factory. All right, hang on now.
Anyway, I'm liking it. I think the music, you know what's interesting is like there's some like a lot of like little earworms in that thing, like a lot of catchy tunes, and they kind of come back in surprising ways like throughout the show.
I totally agree. Well, okay, so
I'm literally speechless. What the hell is
It's good.
going
It's good to me. I like it.
on?
I'm digging it.
Merlin, what's going to happen when he listens to Hamilton? Your mind's just going to explode.
No,
oh, my God.
Listen,
Okay. All
let's
right,
not-
sorry, I'm back.
Okay. It's not.
American history. It's not a mystery. My name is Alexander, and I'm here to say. Wiki, whack, whack. Constitutional Convention. Anal retention. Make sure you dot the I's, cross the T's. I don't. You know what? I don't even know what to say. I have so much to say. I imagine death so much it seems more like a memory. Here's the thing. Okay. So 25th anniversary, let's get this out of the way. I love the sweep of that. I love maybe it's because it's HD and the sound is big.
It's a bigger sound.
It's a big sound. 10th anniversary has it at the end of like One Day More, but this, I mean, you get the Angelo Ronas guy, the sexy Adam Ant guy. Like, oh my gosh, you don't like him? You didn't like that Valjean? You didn't like that Eponine?
No, the Eponine.
You didn't like that Eponine?
The Eponine is good.
That's the same Eponine from the movie.
Yeah. That's Samantha the Corseted.
She's amazing. The thing with the 25th anniversary, I feel like the Jonas Brother there. It's almost it's kind of reminding you like, oh, yep, we're a little bit more modern. We're a little bit on edge. Maybe not intentionally, but it's just
he sucks a lot.
It does feel a little more poppy.
I'll say I don't think that Valjean is like a good. I mean, I've seen it 3 times, so I'm a pretty big expert on this, and I would say that I don't think like Hugh Jackman makes Valjean like a very sympathetic character. Like I never really gave a shit about him, and I found him.
You
to
think
just
that
be
you put that on him though? You don't put that on the filmmakers.
No, I don't know. I just that performance as it was presented to me, I was like, this guy is kind of he's just sort of like dramatic, and I don't know. Like I just never felt his motivations. And
He seems more. He's I see again. I like the performance. I always want to bracket that, but he seems really neurotic, more neurotic than like a Colm Wilkinson, who brings
is that
so much
that's the
dignity.
10th anniversary one?
He's the OG, and yes, he's the bearded guy. Who's this guy who sings like this?
Yes. So first of all, I like his singing the best, but also like it's like you hit it exactly right. He is like so dignified. Like you just feel bad for the guy that he's a prisoner.
You can feel the weight on him, the age, and he's just
he has kind of a grimace on his. He's like acting while he's singing in a way that I don't think any of the other Valjeans are doing. Like he like has this great like grimace on his face. Like I don't know. There's like a few, and then he picks really. So the Hugh Jackman, the whole performance. Here's the whole problem with the movie: the characters are constantly overwhelmed with emotion, and the camera's right in their face, and they're just constantly in sort of meltdown.
It's unseemly.
I mean, yeah, collect yourself for Christ's sake. But like,
calm down.
Yeah, I want to like, in an old movie, how you'd slap someone and you'd say like, "You're being hysterical. Calm down."
My catchphrase for 2017, courtesy of Alex. Calm down.
What's good about his performance is he picks a few times to really cut loose, and you really feel it. You're like, this guy is at a breaking point.
Yeah. So, God, I have to compress this. I have so many thoughts.
You know what I need to say to people is, take an eye for an eye. Turn your heart into stone. That's my advice.
Okay, so here's the problem. I mentioned this last week. The kind of scattershot way that I came to enjoy this particular property, it's really weird. And so it seems odd that I'm kind of like so many things I'm experiencing this sort of backwards, where my true intro to this as something I heard a lot was the movie and the soundtrack for the movie. So that's a weird place to start for a lot of reasons. 25th anniversary, I was like, wow, I get why this was like a theatrical hit. So then the problem was, from that standpoint, going back, listening to the original, listening to the early recordings, even listening to the 10th, everybody who's not everybody, but a lot of fandom seems to agree the 10th anniversary is the go-to performance. And I would listen to it and I'd go, yeah, no, this is really good. But it's not quite as Doctor Who as the more recent ones. But I said this in text yesterday, I feel like the 10th anniversary strikes this nice balance from like the early day recordings where they're playing fucking synthesizers and shit, and everyone's singing more like they're in a Sondheim musical. You got that on one end of the spectrum. Other end of the spectrum, you got everybody looking in the camera and crying. But go and listen to that one day more. Now I'm being Max. Go and listen to that thing you sent me, Max. Notice how long they hold the notes. Colm Wilkinson holds the notes so much longer than in any later productions, and you get this not recitative. What's the word I'm looking for? Where like kind of everybody's flowing over each other, and suddenly, when the 5 or 7 people are all singing different things in One Day More, it makes a lot more sense. You get more of the sense of like this is like a montage of all of these people. It makes a lot more sense.
The 10th anniversary is the closest one I've heard to an opera. Which is probably why I like it, because I like opera and I think musicals are bad and lame. I couldn't put my finger on what the difference is. I just like one and I don't like the other.
Did you listen to, well, it doesn't matter. I sent you something late last night. I'm sorry. Sometimes I send things late at night. Syracuse sent me his hand-picked favorite version. Like he was, of course, this is Syracuse, so he's extremely specific. It's not just his favorite Eponine. It's his favorite particular special performance of On My Own. Did you listen to that?
Not yet. I saw that you sent it, but I was in the bath. I was reading.
Yes. No, I understand. You should, have a chili dog.
Oh, no. No. There's no...
You don't eat in the bathtub ever?
That is... Oh, my God.
Oh, that is
illegal.
sacrilege,
That is
Merlin.
illegal.
No.
I will call Javert if you eat in the bath.
Huh.
I will report you to Javert.
Max has severed relationships over bath eating.
Really? What about a shower beer? We have a shower beer?
Let me get this out of the way. it's okay to drink like a beer or something in the shower, and not any solid food, but you could have like a beer. And the reason is the water is moving. So if you like spill some beer or whatever, no big deal. It gets washed away down the drain. If you're in the bath, it all sticks around. Here's the one. You should not have anything in the bath. Here's what's acceptable to have in a bath.
It becomes like a Max stew. Like you're like a Bugs Bunny in a pot.
That is disgusting. Here's what you can have in the bath.
Like a little piece of bread with some tomato sauce falls in. You wouldn't like that little bit of cheese.
Okay,
lost that one.
You can
looking
have
down and smiling.
A. You could have a glass of water, and the water should be cold.
Yes.
B. You could have, also, I don't like when people, don't drink the water from the tub faucet. It's a little too, a little too fish tank to do that. You know what? Be an adult, bring the water from the kitchen faucet and bring it in.
You should do an ebook on this. This could help a lot of people.
It's not even book length. Here's what you can have. Ready? A, glass of water. B, green tea.
That's it.
That's it.
End of story.
You're cut off. Nothing else.
It couldn't be any sandwich at all. What if it's a hoagie? What if? Okay, how about this? What if it's what they call a wrap, which is like a white burrito?
You know that you're gonna be eating the wrap, and it's gonna decouple at the end, and some of the mayo is gonna come out.
You're saying there might be a breach in the wrap.
You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose
breach.
structural cohesion at some point.
Oh my God! See, this is why we need to put money into our infrastructure.
Now, I'm 30 years old now, and I have always assumed that at some point, like you'd grow up to an age where you knew how to eat a wrap without it losing, as they call it on Star Trek, the hull integrity.
First principles, Clarice. Nobody should eat a wrap. My God.
But I don't know how to. I'm 30 and I still don't know how to do it. I don't think it's possible. I think it's bad food.
It's God. Strong feelings. Anyway, go listen to that on my own because, like I said in my very long text last night, it's got like an element of Kate Bush. It's different than any particular one that I've heard. But I want to say thank you, Max, for your bold, brave decision to suffer through listening to this 2.5-hour musical production numerous times, even though you obviously hate it and don't want it in your life. I just want to say thank you. Think it's a bold, brave decision to do that.
I found a good one. I found one that I liked.
Yeah,
I really like that 10th anniversary one. I've been listening to it in the car. It's good. I've been really into it.
Can we do a quick lightning round of so taking into account any you've heard or seen? Give me your okay. Here we go. Ready? Mm-hmm. Favorite Valjean, go.
Oh, 10th anniversary guy.
So Colin Wilkinson. What about you, Alex? Favorite Valjean?
Same.
Yeah. I like him, and I like 25th anniversary guy, who's very operatic. But Colin Wilkinson, man, he's the OG.
I also like the Javert. The Javert is really good.
We have to talk about that video that you sent, which I would watch this guy talk about anything all day. Max, can you describe what it is he sent us?
Oh yeah, so I just was Googling who the Javert was in the 10th anniversary one because I like his performance a lot. And it's really good performance. And I found on YouTube this like lecture he did about how he learned how to do the role of Javert. And it's kind of a crazy lecture. Like he's kind of doing a lot of bullshit theater talk, but he's an interesting guy to hear. And I stuck with it. And then he said the thing that just knocked me off my feet that I thought was so interesting is he's talking about a line where Javert says something like Valjean has like dominion over me. And he's like, well, if you think about it,
why that word?
Right. And he's like, well, if you think about it, he's like, if this was real, like you'd never just pick the word dominion. Like if you just roll through it, it robs it of all its meaning. So he's like, what he has to do is like race ahead a little bit with the words. And then when he gets to the word dominion, he has to take just enough of a pause to sell the idea that he's struggling to come up with the right word and then picking it. Dominion. Like off the top of his head to give it that, imbue it with some like emotional reality. And then furthermore, he has to coordinate that with the conductor so that the conductor of the orchestra doesn't race ahead with the music to catch up to him. So the conductor keeps the regular time and he has some fluidity to play with the words. And when you listen to it, to the performance, because like then I went and listened to him do it, it's really subtle. I mean, it's not an exaggerated thing. Like you maybe would never notice it if you didn't hear him talk about it, but it's what makes the performance work because you really buy that this is, it just gives it a, I don't know, it gives it a certain kind of humanity and reality of like you really buy that this is a guy who's feeling this way. It's acting.
Javert seems like a character that would be very easy to get wrong. that you could just turn him into a 1 or 1.5 note character. And there's so much, and he's not in my head. When I imagine Les Mis, I think of him as being like on almost equal billing with Valjean, but he's not in it, nearly as much. And he's a tragic figure, so like you have to like compress a lot of what's going on in his head into each performance.
Yeah, it's a reason I actually didn't think Russell Crowe's performance was that bad, because I thought I get it, he's not a very good singer, but I felt that he like brought the character to life, and you really got a sense of his like his determination and his sadness, and I don't know, it was like I liked that character from the movie more than almost any other character from the movie as portrayed by Russell Crowe.
All right, I won't drag this out. I do want to hear all of your choices for other ones. Maybe we'll save it for other episodes.
Who's your Javert? Who's your favorite Javert?
I don't know. I like the look of that one Frankenstein-looking guy. You said you didn't like his performance so much, but I love his look.
Who?
The guy, is it Philip Quast? Who's the guy in 10th
Anniversary? Yeah. That's the guy who did the talk.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah. I think he's got gravitas.
He's got a little bit of like rap going on in his like little Javert raps too that I find
What am
really,
I thinking of? Not
really
thinking
catchy.
of Lon Chaney. He reminds me of Lon
God.
Chaney. A little bit of rap.
I'm in a different universe. I don't know what's happening. Oh my God. I wonder if Max is also going to like hip operas as they. Who was the first person to say that? God, there's not even
That's
that much.
a thing that people say.
There's not even that much.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real bad.
Hip opera.
All right.
Hip opera. Wikipedia, it redirects to rap opera. A rap opera or hip opera.
Oh, God.
Or sometimes urban opera is a musical work in hip hop style with operatic form. This is the whitest sentence anyone has ever written. It's just so you know, hip opera is a portmanteau of hip hop.
Right. Now I have
opera.
Now I have one critique. This is my last thing on Les Mis because I've been thinking about it like literally for an entire week. And also, I did not use the stupid To-Do app at all. I just watched Les Mis for another week. So this is all I have prepared for the podcast. But here's the other
10
thing.
points to Slytherin.
I felt a little uncomfortable. I felt a little uncomfortable last week about... I was like talking about how it was sort of this like Marxist philosophy going on in the play, and you see this portrayal of people through class, but that I was like a little uncomfortable with it. And I've like spent a little more time thinking about it, and watching the videos of the 10th anniversary and the 25th anniversary shows really helped me figure out what was bugging me about it. So these shows, just to set, because who the fuck has seen these? They're these. Would you even describe them? And it's a turbo musical. It's like.
You're talking about this. I would call it. Are you talking about like what we've been watching? I would call it a costumed staging. I don't know if that's a thing.
But I'm just talking about the scale. I mean, so it's like a stadium full of people, and there's
like 250 people. In some of those.
You mean on the stage? I'm talking about the audience. The venue that this is performed in is a Mondo venue. It's not a theater.
The 25th was at like the O2 Center, I think.
It's
like
a huge.
It's like a hockey stadium. It's huge.
Right, and there's like fucking fireworks and 100 people on stage. I mean, it's a turbo play. It's like not like I've never seen anything personally on that scale. I mean, it's more like the Super Bowl halftime show than like theater that I see. So just keeping that in mind, like I guess that's where I felt like there's something a little weird about. Maybe it's just like the cultural context that like musicals and Les Mis occupy today, like as compared to the allegedly the message of the thing. Because who's going to see this? It's like extremely rich people seeing other extremely rich people perform this thing in a stadium, paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for tickets to this. And it's this total bourgeois thing. I mean, working people have no access to this. And you're meant to go into it and, feel very self-congratulatory that you're like doing this moral act of consumption, I guess, by seeing this anti-capitalist play. Like I went with my parents for their birthday to see this thing called Motown, the musical in Chicago a few years ago. And I was really nauseous by the end of this thing. It really upset me. And it was, super expensive theater, Broadway show, downtown Chicago, a completely white audience. Everyone was, and they were playing Motown music. Everyone in the audience is singing along and clapping, and they're all these sort of like rich baby boomers, like white rich baby boomers. And it's a predominantly black cast, and they have like they like deal with like racism in like a song, and they're like, oh, we solved it through like the magic of music. And I was like, this is absolving your
Kind of like the way Ryan Gosling saved jazz.
Yeah.
A movie I loved.
But you know what I mean? It's like a little like it's a little bit of like part of the price of your ticket includes like absolving yourself of your participation in it. No one leaves this play going like, oh, I'm complicit in Valjean's suffering because of.
Oh no! I mean, this is. I'm going to use my monthly usage of the word problematic. It's problematic in the sense that, oh boy, there's all kinds of ways this kind of goes wrong, and it gives me icky feels. Like this, I should not be here congratulating myself on wearing a suit and spending several $100s to learn about the struggle.
Not only does capitalism permit a sort of the consumption of a sort of anti-capitalist piece of media as popular media that the bourgeois go to see and pay a fortune for, but it actually needs that. And I've just finished this book that really kind of has me reeling. It's by this guy Mark Fisher called Capitalist Realism, and they talked about it on my my favorite podcast, the Chapo Trap House. So that's kind of what got me into it, and highly recommend this book if you're interested. But it's sort of a pop culture analysis. It's like a little bit of like, if you're a philosophy nerd, it's like a little bit of like an anti-Oedipus, but if you could understand anti-Oedipus because the pop culture was relevant to you. So he talks about like one of the things Mark Fisher talks about in this book is the film WALL-E, and he's like, well, he's like, well, it's like in WALL-E, like you're seeing this really dystopian vision of the future where like capitalism has ruined humanity and ruined the planet. But he's like, actually, that's just part of what capitalism does. He says a film like WALL-E exemplifies what Robert Fowler has called interpassivity. The film performs our anti-capitalism for us, allowing us to continue to consume with impunity.
Oof.
And then he has this. Then he goes into talking about the Project Red by Bono, and he says, "Philanthropy." But this is a quote from Bono, right? Bono says, "Philanthropy is like hippie music, holding hands." Bono proclaimed. Bono again. Red, meaning his Project Red, the red iPod, is more like punk rock, hip hop. This should feel like hard commerce. The point was not to offer an alternative to capitalism. On the contrary,
something lost in translation there. I don't know what those words mean.
Well, so here's what Mark Fisher says about this. He says the point of Project Red was not to offer an alternative to capitalism. On the contrary, Product Red's quote punk rock or quote hip hop character consisted in its quote unquote realistic acceptance that capitalism is the only game in town. No, the aim was only to ensure that some of the proceeds of particular transactions went to good causes, the fantasy being that Western consumerism, far from being intrinsically implicated in systemic global inequalities, could itself solve them. All we have to do is buy the right products.
Cultural hegemony, it ain't just a river in Egypt.
So here's a big Twitter follow-up. I have a guy on Twitter who harasses me. I mean, I have many people on Twitter who harass me. One person is just like beyond the pale. So this person, like every day, they have like an egg, or I think it's like an anime avatar, and they're like one of these like alt-right people, and they have like 12 followers that are like, you know, other bots or anime avatars. And what they do that kind of crosses the line for me is, rather than just like replying to me so I can just mute them or whatever, they every day go on Twitter and search for @MaxTemkin to like find my mentions, and then reply to people like sending nasty comments and stuff. So I've reported this guy. I feel like that clear. And also, like, if you look at this person's timeline, like all it is harassing me and then like women who make video games and just like yelling at them and calling them.
You get like 12 of those sock puppet accounts and just like, you know, automate hate.
Yeah. I mean, I think this was a person typing it. So I reported him for harassment, and, you know, I got the standard Twitter thing saying, hello, thank you for reporting this issue for us. Level. Yeah, exactly. Our goal is to create a safe environment for everyone on Twitter to express themselves freely. We reviewed your report carefully and found that there was no violation of Twitter's rules regarding abusive behavior. So then Twitter gives you like 6 things that are actions you can do from this automated reply, and they're all things that like you can do. They're like, well, you could block this person, you could mute them, or you could contact the police, are basically the options they present you. And I'm like, well, none of them really solve this problem of like anyone who interacts with me on Twitter, this crazy person like tweets at them. So I just didn't know what else to do. So I just reported him again, and I like picked new tweets that he was using to harass me. And then just now, 20 minutes ago, I get an email from Twitter, and it says, "Hello, we've investigated and suspended the account you reported. It was found to be participating in abusive behavior."
First of all, A, awesome, and B, did you see the announcement, the recent announcement?
Oh no, what's happening?
Oh shit, they're. I mean, I'm not a Gamergate target, so I'm sure it's not going to fix everything, but they're doing all kinds of shit. I'll tell you what they're doing, buddy. You know what they're doing? You can say, "Don't show me any eggs."
Oh shit, dog!
I know. Am I right? Up here, turn off the eggs. Goo 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 joob. It seems so simple. I mean. And obviously now they're going to be they're going to have to be bothered to upload a new like anime picture or something, or a picture of a guy in a tie. Ties and flags and anime avatars, Moon and June and Ferris wheels. It's like Jesus Christ. So much of the grief that I see comes from anime avatars, eggs, and men in ties standing in front of flags. So a man puts on the tie and stands in front of a flag. He becomes a monster. And then people get all mad. I wear ties. I'm like, well, yeah.
Where are all of these men who are like standing in front of flags? Is that like a thing that happens after Boy Scouts? Like most of the ones of those that I get, they look like 18 to like 31-year-old males. And they're like showing their face and saying terrible things. Where do you take your picture in front of a flag that isn't Congress?
That's a really good question. Maybe you go to like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Maybe does Walmart have one of these? It's like a Sears photo op, and it's like, yes, I would like the flag. And
you're in the troll zone. Going down to the troll zone. Get your picture taken in a necktie, standing in front of a fucking flag. Max, can I try and make your day a little bit better? There's now a piece of sketch comedy that is performed several times a day in our house, and we perform it mainly for my wife. But we'll say, "Okay, Mom, you ready?" And then Ellie and I will go sit at the table, and I'll say, "Well, listen, Eleanor, it's really important that you get your reports in for the night." And she stops me in the middle of the sentence. She stands up like lemon grip. She stands up with her arms by her side. She looks straight ahead. She says, "Something came up, and there's none but me who can intercede." And she walks out of the room. She thinks it's the funniest thing she's ever heard. You know, like when Lemon Grab is screaming and jumps out the window, that she walks like that out of the room. There's none but me who can intercede.
So good.
That is talk about a life hack.
I often reply to people on email when they ask me to do something, like go to some meeting or well, I get a lot of emails where people just want to touch base or circle back or check
the
in.
base must be touched.
Yeah, and they're like, "Hey, could I just have 20 minutes to circle back up and touch
Max,
base?
can I borrow you?
Yeah, and well, it's like, yeah, you could, but like, it's like I'm gonna have to stop all my shit and drive there, and then we're gonna have to make small talk, and you're gonna be late, and well, sorry, I'm gonna be late realistically. Anyway, so I normally say that what was it like? It was like the Stanley Kubrick thing, like I must decline for secret reasons.
Oh yeah, that's so great.
And it's amazing. No one ever questions that. But now I've been saying, unfortunately, something's come up, but none but me can intercede. And no one questions that. I have to go buy an orphan.
E.B. White. Dear Mr. Adams, thank you for your letter inviting me to join the Committee for the Arts and Sciences for Eisenhower. I must decline for secret reasons. Sincerely, E.B. White. A mini. I got a question for you. Can I ask you guys a question?
Please. I love questions.
Okay. So I had, for not very interesting reasons, the bank behind my bank changed, and I had to get new cards and do the whole thing. And so, of course, you know what that means. We've talked about this before. It's time for all your payments to be declined. So what do? Used to be back in the day, I had an Omni outliner document because I was that guy. And I had an Omni outliner document with every place that I put my credit card in with a link to where to go, the deep link to where to go to change it. And I would, every time my card got stolen every year, I would go and diligently go in and change every single one of those to the updated card. Now, as we've discussed, a great life hack is to wait for the card to be declined, unless it's like mission critical shit, right? Wait for it to be declined, and then have a little moment where you say to yourself, is this a thing I really want to keep spending money on? I'm talking here about what John Roderick calls eels. I'm talking about repeating expenses. I'm talking about subscriptions. I'm talking about upgrades. I'm talking about all of those kinds of things.
You gotta every year or so. Sometimes I'll just go into the bank and request a new card just so I can start popping those eels off.
It's a forced reset. So here's my question to you. I don't know if y'all use. I know that Max at least uses Mint. My question to you. This is my the thought challenge for the week, and it's a quickie. Do you have a sense right now of approximately how much we'll exclude things like utilities, for example, will exclude right up to the line of, say, iCloud storage? Do you have a sense of roughly, you have to say the number, but do you have a sense of roughly how much you spend on recurring expenses, automatic charges? Do you have a rough sense of what you spend on that each month?
No.
I didn't. And so here's what I did, and I challenge you guys to do this too. You go into Mint, and this is a pain in the ass, but one nice thing Mint can do is it can automatically change things, right? So you can say from now on, instead of saying blah 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 blah, if this is always this certain thing, give it this human name that I'll recognize, assign it to this expense category, and you can even apply tags to it. Tags, it's still a thing. I would say it would be interesting to go in and look at the last 3 months, or 4 months even, of charges you've gotten. I'd be curious to see how much stuff is what I've put as a recurring subscription. Because it's kind of mind-blowing. It's the first of the month, my card's getting declined because it's the old card, and I'm already amazed at how much shit I keep paying for and don't even. Like all these little subscriptions, these little pay services, the premium version of this. I don't know. How do you feel about this, Alex?
I just have one card, and like every 6 months I get a new card, and then like this doesn't really happen to me. So if something's declined, I'm just like, oh, okay. It happens fairly regularly. Although now I've signed up for like MyFitnessPal, Lose It, the Bear subscription. So I have a recurrent monthly $58.62 of internet services. But I know, like, I've never gotten in the trap where it's like PayPal is charging me $2 every month. But I don't know. Maybe that's a Midwest thing. I get like very nervous about putting my debit card anywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty careful about it. I also have another. So I have this app that I recently put on my phone, and I can't say too much about it, but so far I've enjoyed using it. It's called Clarity Money, and it's kind of like a Mint Lite. So you plug all your bank account information in, it scans your bank account, and it finds bills that it thinks it can get you a better rate on by like using a competitor, and it identifies recurring charges and has a button to cancel. You can it'll be like, so for the one I see right now is like Netflix, $10.99 a month, and then there's a button right there saying cancel, and if I press that, it will go in and cancel my Netflix account for me.
Whoa.
I need this.
Now, I just want to say, I know that we say a lot on the podcast, oh, well, just because we're taking a bunch of powders doesn't mean you at home should just take a bunch of powders. But I do want to say, if I say on the podcast that I am using some app where I just blindly, I don't know who makes this thing, but I just blindly put my bank account information in and hope for the best, you should do that, 100%.
Did you guys get my kombucha photo?
Yeah, boy, that's quite a lineup of beverages.
So this morning I sent you my flight. I had a flight this morning of my usual 3 beverages. I don't know if you got the one in my filthy bathroom with all the empty bottles. I am stacking up some serious booch.
Oh, I did see that. Okay. Wait a minute. That was your bathroom? Why are they in your bathroom?
Well, because I don't have trash, sir. Email John Siracusa. There's a lot of dander in here.
All right, Merlin. So in the product, we try to be the leading. I think we're obviously the number 2, hopefully number 1 anti-Semitism podcast. But I think we also want to be up there for productivity. And you know what they call that in the world of productivity? That's called closing the loop, right? Because you're going to
close your loop.
That's right. You're going to shit yourself, so you finish the booch.
You can't efficiently hate a Jew if you're thinking about your inbox.
Exactly. You got to close that loop. That's why you have the kombucha on the toilet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. While you're having a sandwich.
Right.
When I was little, I used to not eat on the toilet because I always thought it would go right through and would be a waste.
Mm-hmm. Hakuna Matata. It's the circle of life.
Yeah. Home lifesavers. Okay, so you say go put your powders into Clarity Money, and you will personally vouch for the security of this app. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I have not been owned by Russian cyber hackers yet, so I think that probably means that it's trustworthy. I got a little bit of follow-up here. This was just a really good piece of audio I just wanted to share. So, do you guys know who Paul Manafort is?
Yeah.
Is this answering the question?
Okay, but so I just want to make sure. I don't know how much you guys know about Paul Manafort, but he's a fucking unbelievable character in politics. I mean, this is the sleazebag in the world of politics. This guy has lobbied in Washington, D.C. on the Hill for every fucking two-bit tin pot dictator, human rights abusing piece of shit strongman in the world. It's unbelievable. He worked for Jonas Savimbi. He worked for, the one I want to bring up is that he worked for Viktor Yanukovych, who won the election for the president of Ukraine when his opponent was poisoned by dioxin. I think what was the guy, Yushchenkovich, I think was the other guy. And that was Putin poisoned the opposition. And it just so happened that the guy running the pro-Putin candidate's campaign was Paul Manafort. So Paul Manafort, absolute lowest level piece of shit that there is in the world. He fucking worked for Mobutu Sese Seko and Ferdinand Marcos. All these shitty people, and took them. What he would do is coach them to talk about like free market. These sort of like a freshwater
He's like the dictator whisperer.
Yeah, exactly. And he would teach them how to talk about these free market Paul Ryan sort of principles, and then take them through Capitol Hill to make an alliance between them and Republican leadership. So what does he do after he's done working for Viktor Yanukovych? And also there was I think we may have even mentioned this on the show before. There's a great Trump cast. Slate's a Trump cast where they talk about his ties and his debts to Russian oligarchs and organized crime. This is just the shadiest guy in the world who we know publicly. Was paid a lot of money, does a lot of business in Russia. What does he do? He becomes Donald Trump's campaign manager after Corey Lewandowski was fired for assaulting a reporter. And then he had to resign because of his ties to Russia. So now we know all of the crazy Russia shit is sort of coming to light, and we know that there's probably some crazy shit in Trump's taxes. And Paul Manafort was on the news the other day, and he was doing a little interview. And this is on CBS this morning. So I just want to play the audio from this interview. And you guys tell me what you think of his comments.
Right. Okay.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
Oh, yeah, it just seems crystal clear.
God.
Let me do it one more time. Let me do it one more time. Let me do it one more time.
That's what he said.
Oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
my papers.
You know what he's doing? He's racing ahead so that it seems like he's thinking of the words right as he says them. And he has to tell the orchestra not to keep time with him.
I now dominion.
Vladimir Putin has no dominion over me.
That is what he said. That's what I understand is the position.
So, well, I'm sold. I feel like that puts the matter to bed. He said it. So
that's an answer.
Oh, God.
It's a pivot. It's a pivot.
Okay, this challenge sucked. This is my challenge. It's such a piece of shit. I'm so sorry. This is the worst challenge. I regretted it as the words were coming out of my mouth. This challenge sucked, and I would just, you know what? I'm going to step away. In order for you to keep doing the important anti-Semitic work and Les Mis work that you're doing on this program, I feel I'm going to have to step aside. You know what? It's a reminder that I need to grow up. So the challenge this week was to use the application. I don't want to, as they say, throw it under the bus. You were supposed to use the application called Todoist. And in particular, you're supposed to bring in some of these bullshit templates to do whatever the fuck and struggle your way through using this goddamn binary to the best of your abilities and report back on how it went. So, Max, you were smart enough
so
to
I
skip this one.
downloaded the app, and then I tried to log in, or I tried to make an account, and it was like, you already have an account with this email. So I was like, oh, I guess I must have, downloaded this to play with it or check it out at some point. It's an old app, right? It's been around.
10 fucking years.
10 years. So there's still going to be some bugs. There's going to be some rough edges. If you've only had an app for 10 years, there's going to be some problems.
Yeah, so at some point in the preceding decade, I've downloaded this thing, and then I couldn't get in, and I had to do a password reset, and that kind of put the damper on it. And then I got in there, and I was poking around, and they have some, example stuff, and then I see this tab on the app. Let me just go back. I see this tab called Labels, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, one of my big things of why I can never leave OmniFocus is that the contexts are my whole life. I need the context. The context are everything.
Context, you get a one and only one context. It always means that thing, and it's how you run your life. It's an incredibly powerful concept.
Yes, it truly has changed my life, the context. And so I was like, okay, labels. I was like, maybe I can sort of hack labels into using context. And I go and tap on the labels tab, and I get a little pop-up, and it says, Premium, you've discovered labels. Organize your tasks and find the right ones in seconds. With custom labels like @email. Wait a minute, why would @email be in my to-do? Why would I have emails in my to-do list? @waiting or @5 minutes, and it's lost me.
God.
Then it says labels are a premium feature. Upgrade now. And then if I click on upgrade now, it wants me to pay $21 to use labels.
When you put it that way, it sounds crazy. Free to play. Yeah, well, labels, whoop-de-fucking-do. Labels can be fuck all. It can be anything. You just start typing wrong and you got a new label. Dee-dee-dee. Oh, you want to enter something? I don't want to get ahead of myself. You want to enter in some tasks from Alexa? Guess what? Now you got a new label called Alexa. Let me tell you some of my other labels that I have not created. Done _2017-02-26 _ project _ inbox all caps _ because it thinks you really want to know a lot, I guess, about where stuff came from and when it died. It's kind of like little tombstones.
That's honestly knowing
Oh my God.
retention of old data in to-do lists. It seems to be the default. It seems to be what everyone does. And I actually don't really like it.
It's like saving your pee in jars. What are you doing? Make it go away.
Way of the future. Way of the future.
I need to sleep.
Do you ever go into OmniFocus? Do you ever pick the wrong perspective in OmniFocus and suddenly it's like the ghost of Christmas past? It's like all the failed projects that you never finished.
No, it's like one of those dreams New Yorkers have where you in your dream you open the closet and there's another house inside your house. You're like, wait a minute, whose career is this? Jesus Christ, perspective. Warn a fella. Oh my God, that's me. That's the me I used to be. Oh my God, I was so much skinnier. Who is this person? OmniFocus is so goddamn stable and well built and well thought out. And everything that's not in that app, guess what? Turns out everything that's not in that app is something they decided to not put into that app. And you can have qualms, and people do have qualms with how OmniFocus is put together, but it is fucking rock solid. It just doesn't screw up, and it's like this is going to be something that you could build a house on. It will just work. And this Todoist thing, it feels like it's made out of tissue paper and bad dreams.
So look, I have here's a question just to go along with this conversation. So what I'm always looking for in technology is, I have these problems in my life, and I want the piece of technology that answers the problem so completely that, assuming I'm willing, maybe I have to adapt a little bit to the methodology of this piece of technology. But if I do it, it just is dependable and stable and answers the problem so that I never have to think about it again. I don't have a lot of examples of this. One of them is Backblaze. Backblaze has solved online backup for me in a way where I never think about it. It always works, and it's just solved. I just don't ever worry about it, and I know that I'm backed up.
Once you understand how it works, you do not have to think about it until the day that you really need it.
And then it's there.
And it just does the thing.
I feel like Gmail, the web client for Gmail, has solved for me my email process my series of filters and labels and everything in a way that no other email interface or provider has ever come close to. And I feel like for me, OmniFocus solves my task management in a way that is completely rock solid and dependable. And I almost can't imagine wanting anything else out of OmniFocus or wanting it to do anything else. But so I guess I have sort of two-part question for you guys. A, I'm curious, like, what are people's qualms with OmniFocus? Like, how could I'm honestly asking this, like, how could people have a sort of a fault with it, assuming like you're willing to bend 5% towards its methodology? And B, like, do you guys have any other technology you feel about the same way of like, this is just like solid?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I first want to say why I decided to try out Todoist, because like the whole idea around it is that it integrates with Alexa and Iftita and Zapier or whatever. But the more I connected it to like Siri and Alexa and all of this bullshit, it just kept breaking down, like you said, like tissue paper. It's like I was filling it up with snot and it was just like falling out of my pocket. It was just
making duplicates
gross.
in different places. You wouldn't even get duplicates in the same place. You get duplicates in different places because sometimes it misunderstood it in different ways. Right? Didn't you get that?
Yep, it would. I had so many problems, and I sent like 6 different support tickets, and none of which got answers. And if this is like if this is the backbone of your day, like, oh God, it's just like you crumble. And that I do feel that way about OmniFocus. It is just like this rock, and I've never had any sync discrepancies. I do have projects from like I can see I finished my homework early like 8 years ago, and it's super cool. And yes, you don't need that, but the fact that it exists and it's there and I can find it, it's mind-boggling in a good way. I think OmniFocus and I want to say Simple Note was also something. Like Simple Note never failed for me. I used NVAlt with a bunch of stuff like editorial or Elements and Notesy, some of the first iOS text apps. But now I switched to Bear, and I have had a couple duplicates. I know some people have been having like really big problems, but I have maybe like 300 text files in here, and I'm sorry, 3,000, not 300, and nothing has gone wrong. And I've got some that have like giant PDFs in them, and it hasn't broken. So
that's all in Bear. You're doing all that in Bear?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty robust.
It feels like what I wanted Evernote to be, and I've never used. I used Evernote for like 1 month and was like, nope, this is, like you said, it gets snotty and you lose things and it's just icky. So I mean, Bear is not perfect, but I feel like I can throw something in there and I know where it is and it's not going to get lost. And I want to say Gmail, but It feels increasingly, especially like Drive, like stuff is getting weirder. Like they want you to use Google Keep, and especially because I have like 10 different Gmail accounts.
I'm sorry, what's Google Keep?
That's like their Todoist.
Sounds like one of those cups that you put on your vagina.
Nice. Yeah. I wish they'd make more messaging apps. I think they should really get a couple more messaging apps would be nice.
The Google Keep cup.
Yeah, maybe. Well, but that said, like if I just don't use Inbox or whatever their new web view is, and just go to the regular Gmail interface, it does feel like I'm in like 2010, but I've never had a problem with that. So yeah. Also Spotify. Is that a weird answer? But like I've never had a problem with that. And with like trying to use Apple Music, Like I'm the Apple kid. I should want to use Apple for everything.
Apple Music inherited a lot of the iTunes problems. There's just, as much as they wanted to make this fresh, clean, streamlined thing, hey, let's make Big Helvetica. Now it's easy to use. It's like you still get stuff like last night when I was trying to find that version of On My Own to send you. Of course, I hit the wrong tab and I hit Apple Music instead of My Collection, and it's still baffling. I was around in the early days of OmniFocus getting put together in a very minor role. I think I don't speak for the company and I don't speak with authority, but as somebody who was kind of around when they were thinking about what shape this should be and then figuring out how to improve it over the next couple of years, one of the things that came up a lot was that, these are old school Next people, and they believe that basically everything is an outline, everything is a list. And, there's a certain kind of guiding principle. Again, I don't speak for them, but the folks at Omni Group are like, man, they are wired tight in every good and bad way. Like, they are very wonderfully conservative about a lot of what they do. They have a very strong editorial point of view that I happen to really respect. You can like or not like their apps, but there's a reason why they did everything the way they did. They've really thought it out. They've really tested it, and they put butt tons of support assets behind everything that they do in a way. Them and, like, for example, Agile Bits, two companies that I just take my hat off to. Yeah, charge $40, charge $80, because if anything ever goes wrong, they will totally help you out. The bitches that I heard in the early days, especially, and I think this continued, were, yeah, that's all well and good, but why can't it also do this, right? And so, for example, one that just came up over and over and over, and one reason I'm kind of laughing, and I've, with all due respect to Todoist, I don't want to be a dick about it, but this is flimsy. It's a flimsy app. With OmniFocus in the early days,
It's 10 years old.
Well, they in the early days, there was they hewed pretty closely to a basic concept in getting things done, a couple concepts. One of those is that you need a list of projects and you need a list of tasks. The thing that OmniFocus did that was difficult or impossible to do on a Mac before was to have a given task have two views into it. So you could choose to view things by project, which are the big nouns in your life. These are the things that you want to accomplish. And when this is done, it will no longer be a project. The other way to view your tasks is by what we discussed called context. And a context is more of a verb. I can do these kinds of things under these circumstances, given these tools or given these constraints. And so one fairly early decision that they made that I think was really smart was to not make it the fucking Wild West. We're like, there's a project, and the project has, at that time you could still have daughter projects, but it's basically projects have tasks, tasks can have context, and that there's an association, there's like a left join. That these things are these things. You know what you can't do? You can't assign 16 contexts to a project. And that was a huge bitch from people, was how could I possibly use this app? I want to use tags. Don't have context, have tags. Because I have this incredibly complex taxonomy that I've inherited from my delicious problem. And now, like, title. And now I want to be able to tag all the things. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. And it wasn't just that it was fiddly, it was that it was programmatically like a little bit weird. So all along the way they made those, but here's what happened. I think, I'm not going to say OmniFocus single-handedly did this, but they were, along with idiots like me, they had a big role in getting people interested in this particular part of the practical knowledge worker productivity space, which is how do I manage, different kinds of weird things in my weird job. And there was suddenly a boom. And people realized you could make productivity apps and charge money for them. And there were a couple apps, I'm not going to name names, but there were apps that came along that wrote checks that their ass couldn't cash, right? Like I watched what Omni went through just with syncing, like hundreds of tiny zip files, like all these little things that they were doing to make it so you never lose data, full stop. And there was just one guy in Eastern Europe who had put out this app and was like, it was updates like almost every day. It was manic. Like where anybody that suggested anything, you'd see it in the app the next day. And people got so excited, like, wow, I really like to see it. I paid all this money for OmniFocus. I wish they would be this attentive. So this app, it was cool. It grew really fast. And again, I don't want to throw this guy under the bus, but this app grew really fast. It got a lot of traction, right? Suddenly you got a huge influx of users. You got more feature requests. He's putting more stuff in. It didn't take long for shit to fucking break and explode all over the place. And then guess what? The guy disappeared. I don't know if you remember this saga, but there was this app that was going to be next to the task program that begins with a T and an H and an ings. This was going to be the undoing of Omni Group. because things did all the things, and you could, ooh, it's all groovy, man, and you can just go like, Minority Report your way through all of your tasks. But all along the way, OmniFocus was there, super strong, super stable, super supported. And so like now when I look at Todoist, with all due respect, it's like I have this wonderful, what do I say, loyal, like sweet, empathetic, hardworking, smart wife of 60 years. And like I start chasing around a girl in high heels by the hot dogs at the 7-Eleven. And it's like, no, dude, like go back to her. She's the good one.
Oh, God, I feel the same way.
I mean, I feel dirty. I'm sitting here, I'm deleting tasks. The format of sending things to this, God bless them for having this extension, but it's just a shower of sparks. Different apps make different things happen with links, and it's just like, oh my God, I want the sanity. I want to go home and watch Netflix with OmniFocus.
I also just want to say how much of an important emotional like point you're making of like, I talk about this all the time with like in like design things, and people are bad at thinking about this, but like there's a difference between how it works and how it feels. And design should be all about how it feels to the user. But if people are really truly going to actually invest and trust and use a task management or a to-do thing, or like for me, like I truly trust OmniFocus. I mean, my whole life is in that. All of my responsibilities, my commitments to other people are in OmniFocus. I trust that when this thing says it's going to remind me, it's going to remind me. And if I put something somewhere, it'll be there. And if it doesn't work, like, it's like I'm pretty fucked. So like it took me a long time to like build up that emotional feeling of like it's to have, how do I put it? It's this feeling of like it's okay for me not to be carrying this all around in my head. It's okay for me to write it down in OmniFocus and trust that it will still be there, and then free my mind to think about other things. That was a really hard transition for me to make. And I don't want this software to move really fast and be really dynamic and do a lot of things. I want it to work 100% of the time. I want it to feel dependable. And that's what I get from OmniFocus. I don't really trust anything else other than maybe like a pen and paper, the same way that I trust OmniFocus.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing, another reason that I mentioned before that I went chasing after the pretty lady of Todoist is because of automation. But now Omni Group hired Sal Segoyan, which is so cool.
Are you
and
kidding
exciting.
me?
And
I did not hear this.
Yeah. And I and sure, maybe like full automation isn't going to be around for another like 5 years, but I know that when they implement it, it's going to work really, really well, and it's not going to be this weird foreign entity that fucks up my life.
All right. I have an important question because I don't want to talk about I don't want to shit on Todoist or whatever for the whole rest of this thing, but important question. So Merlin just sent us a screenshot of his OmniFocus called "My Wife." And my wife, and it's a little master of the house here, and I don't want to get into a whole thing, but it looks, I don't even know what the fuck I'm looking at. Is this the same program I use?
Yeah, you can.
It looks
if you're using perspectives, there are. First of all, I'm using an old version of OmniFocus because I'm a weirdo.
Okay.
But that's why it probably looks weird.
Okay.
But there's just so many little things that you can change. It's like the FFmpeg of like task managers. There's an endless number of things that you can do to tweak it how you want. And this is my go-to context. This is called Added This Week, which I just live in. This is basically, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that I do not need to see. This is, show me, what is this? This is things that are available with any status of any duration, sorted by when it was added.
So this is what I was going to ask is like, can each of us give just a kind of a brief like elevator pitch of like how you do to-dos? I'm super interested in this. So your main view, Merlin, is like you just have like basically like tasks across all projects and contexts that you added in the last week?
Yeah, so there's two big parts to what I do with OmniFocus. A huge part of it, and I say this over and over, but this is really important to me. And I hope that they understand I mean this as a compliment. OmniFocus is where I put everything I don't want to think about. So that could be stuff like watering the plants, or as you see here, refilling the cat boxes. Yes, we have two. That's a thing I need to do, and I don't want to think about it. The last thing I want on my mind is cat boxes. So that means that you can see here it's got a start and a due date, and it repeats on a regular basis. I don't want to have to remember when it's time to get a haircut. Every 6 weeks, give me the ding-a-ling, have it pop up. So in my case, there's a huge amount of stuff that I just stuff in the closet over here. And I don't do GTD very well. I don't do GTD at all right now, really. I mean, I've got the core concepts you and I, all three of us, like care about, but like I'm not doing reviews. I frankly, I don't care. In this case, this is all about this. So this is one. This is what is this? Control. I don't even know what it is. Command Shift A. Yeah, Command Shift A added this week. So I have a bunch of perspectives that I just live in. So whether that's on my phone or it's here, show me the stuff I need to be dealing with right now. So on the one hand, there's all the stuff stuffed into all the closets. Yeah, I should probably go in and clear a lot of that out, but who fucking cares? This is the stuff that needs to happen right now. Nothing goes in here unless there's a contract signed in blood as something I need to do. Nothing gets a due date unless it's really important. My cat will shit on the floor if I don't change the box by the 3rd. That's the thing I need to do. That's how I use it.
Yeah, I similarly, due dates are the highest order of a little contract with myself of like,
This is the day one David Allen. Don't put a due date on anything that won't literally die.
That's right.
If it's not done by that day. That is such a critical point, and that's why people shit all over their own calendar. The second you put something on your calendar with a question mark, you might be screwed. Like, you make sure everything that's on there is something that would have to be canceled with consequences. Like, if I don't pick up my kid, she will go live in a van. I need to go do that.
That's, I mean, right, because you don't want, when I go on my calendar or when I look at my OmniFocus, due soon or whatever, the forecast, like, I don't want a list of things that might happen. I need to know what is happening. Like, what is...
I need to know what dies.
Right. I only can do so many things, so I need to know, like, what's actually critical. So for me, so I use the inbox. So I have more of just a standard, I don't know what you call it, like out of the box OmniFocus. Like, I try to do a little bit of the like Dan Benjamin thing of like not tinker with this too much because I want to just have it quickly. I put it on every device I have, so I want it to sort of quickly just work. So I use so I have the inbox, and that's where I put like, I don't know, like just like random one-off, like, oh, I better talk to this person about just like dumb shit I just don't want in my brain. I just sort of dump into inbox, and sometimes I work right out of the inbox, but like usually like I'll try like once or twice a day to like filter from the inbox into projects and contexts. So projects I have just basically like huge buckets. Like I only have like maybe 4 or 5 projects. So I have like Cards Against Humanity, personal life, politics, like just things that like I need by category. And I have to say I don't really use projects very often. I don't use it for very much, like, to be honest, but I keep them organized. And then contexts are like everything for me. So a context is, for me in OmniFocus, a context is always a dependency. So it's anything that would prevent me from completing a task just on my own doing it right now. It gets a context indicating why I can't do it. So I have 2 main branches of context. I have people and places. Places, I have things like home, office, Walgreens, Target, PNC, like, just places I need to go during my everyday life. And then people, I have like Alex as a context on here. And if there's some, I actually don't have anything right now that's hanging on Alex. But like, if something were up, like edit the podcast or post the podcast, like I'm accountable for that, but I can't really do it myself. So I would put an Alex context on it. And where this is really powerful for me is contexts work across the OmniFocus like ecosystem. So no matter what project or where a task is or if it's deferred or whatever's going on, I can see everything I'm blocking on Alex for. So when I sit down for my once a week meeting with Alex, and I have 20 different projects going that are all sort of touching Alex's areas of responsibility in the company, I can just click on Alex Cox, and there pops up all the things that Alex and I need to talk about. And it's like the only way I understand how to work with other people, is that I can have this one context that brings together all the shit I need from them. And the other thing I do is I have this from the David Sparks, Max Sparky OmniFocus Field Guide. I'm pretty sure I got this from him. He showed off these like 2 custom perspectives that he uses. So one of them is called planning, and one of them is called today. Planning.
Oh, the today one is really great. I remember that. That's really smart.
So I use this daily. This is my daily sort of check-in of what I will do. Here's what I do is like, so I have this one view called planning. So every morning I go into the planning view. planning is it show me every available task, meaning every task that's not blocked or deferred or have some reason why I can't do it right now. Anything
Or
I can do
completed.
right now, show it to me. Don't use a project hierarchy. So across everything in my life, show me all the things I could do. And the way I look at that is like, here is the open field of the day. Here's all the things that could be done today, right? If I go into planning, I just have this long list of open to-do items, and it's like, oh, I could go to Walgreens and buy Claritin D. I could finish this design project. I could do this research thing.
It's literally on my list for today.
Yeah. Well, it's like, but it's like, it's like here's the like, what is today gonna be, right? It's like what does Roderick say when he's like picking his clothes?
Oh, what will be the uniform of the day?
What will be the uniform of the day, exactly. And I get to decide, and I feel very empowered by that because I see everything. And I'm like, well, today I could block off a few hours and go do a bunch of shopping. Like, okay, I could go to Walgreens and get all my shopping done, or I could sit and do a bunch of design work. Like, it's nice to have that like moment of decision versus just being a hostage to like whatever emails on the top of your inbox or whatever. And then what I do is I pick, 3 things or whatever I want to do, usually grouped in some way where I can try and get them all done together, and I flag them. Flag is that little red thing above that in the corner of the circle, and then anything
Red.
it's the color of blood.
The color of my task.
And then anything flagged pops up in today, and then I can basically pull up a new, you can do like a new window in OmniFocus, and I have like a little mini window that just shows the today stuff, and all it is a little itemized to-do list, and it's like, all right, here's all the shit I have to get done today.
The way that my OmniFocus is basically laid out the same way as Max's because we watch all the same stuff, and the one difference I think is I am a little more not lax with to-do dates, but I use them a lot more. And the way that I know someone will die or I will be fired is if at the end of the day there's still a badge on on the OmniFocus icon on my phone, because like flagging things that is when someone will die. That's when I'm evicted from my apartment, because a lot of my days have to be improvised based on like not like email or anything, but like a new project will come up or something has to just something is suddenly due by the end of the day, but with OmniFocus and with the planning mode, I find it really just like relaxing almost to like know that everything is still there and I can restructure the rest of my week. And it is really the like place where my brain lives. Like I every single night I do kind of stick to GTD pretty rigorously, I guess, in the sense of reviews. Because it's like, end of the day, gonna sit with my cat and just go over everything. And it like, man, it's just something that I enjoy, and I don't know why. Why would I go to Todoist? And I understand, like, I realized something this year, that my wife is only ever gonna use the iOS reminders app, and that is where my grocery shopping list now lives. And I've accepted, like, I can use 2 apps and the world won't burn down. So if you like using Todoist, that's fine. It just is not how my brain works, and my to-do list should not make me anxious, and that's what Todoist does. Ugh.
I've been sitting here trying to figure out exactly what it is that I thought I was going to get out of this, and I got 2 things that I wanted, and then a couple of things that I was pleased with. Let's start with the little ones. The little things I was pleased with. I thought it was kind of neat that you can format tasks with Markdown. Not super critical to me, but that's kind of cool that you can do that. Something I don't need, but some people will love, is what I will call flexibility. Meaning, if you want to tag the shit out of this with a million different, what do they call it, labels, you can do that. But I think the 2 things I came here for, and you guys tell me what you think, or I guess particularly Alex, I think I was mainly here for what I'm going to call automation and what I'm going to call templates. Automation in the sense that, and they're kind of related. Automation meaning I can hook this up to Lady in a Tube. I can hook this up to reminders, which you can also do with OmniFocus. But I wanted a way to be able to throw things into here and have it go to the right place. Oh, also automation, including natural language, which they're pretty cool about. Like if you're on the Mac in this weird-ass WebView app that they've got, it is kind of cool that you can just start typing and you can add in a label or a project name. Like that's pretty cool. And that part I was pretty pleased with. Like sitting in front of the computer doing this, pretty good. I liked that automation piece. The template part was very appealing to me too. What is a template? Right now, for example, one file that saves my ass every time I travel is this giant task paper list of all the stuff I need to do. And I've talked about this other places, but this thing just saves my ass. So it's things I need to do up to a week before I travel. Do I need to order anything? Do I need to plan anything? Do I need to do all these things? I basically clone this list every time I have to travel. So that there's all the dumb stuff that I've learned, and I'll get to that in a sec. But in this case, is there anything I need to order for this? Is there anything I need to plan? Do I need to book anything for this? And it has this exhaustive, way overblown list of more things than I will ever need. Even if it's winter, it still asks me about my swimsuit because I want to be asked about the swimsuit.
Can I ask you a quick
all that stuff?
Can I just ask you a quick question about this? So I'm sort of confused. Like task paper is awesome. Like I've heard you talk about it a lot, and I've played with it, and it's a really, really cool piece of software. Why use it? Like I don't. That's where I get a little bit like lost in this. Like, wouldn't your life be just simplified if it was just an OmniFocus list, or am I missing something here?
Possibly, but task paper, unless you really decide to ruin it, you can't fiddle with task paper. It is impossibly simple. You basically get projects, tasks, and nesting. You can do stuff with tags, and that'll work if you're using the task paper app.
Okay, but if the goal is simplicity, which I get it, right? You just want the easiest way to figure out what to take out of town. How is having two apps, one that's complicated and one that's simple, less complexity points than just having everything in your one app?
Part of it's my mental model of and I assume you're comparing it to OmniFocus. Part of it is my mental model about what belongs in OmniFocus. And so I may have things in OmniFocus like buy plane tickets or, the big kind of tent pole things that I need to do, but I do not have lists of more than 3 to 5 things in any project, because to me that goes somewhere else. Because just for me, for my mental model, OmniFocus is kind of the control center in the brain, and then there's all kinds of places. Reference stuff obviously never goes into OmniFocus. Links to other things, that goes in OmniFocus. So in this instance, like to me, so where's my travel document? It's just that it's so big and so weird and so unwieldy. And
one more, so why not use why not just have a note, right?
Because this is a list with probably about 100 items in it.
You have to do 100 things every time you go out of town?
Big cup for ice water.
Definitely.
Earplugs, gaffer's tape, USB drive, rubber bands, notebook, index cards. Here's the thing. Do I need that for every? Do I need that for every trip? I do not. Bag tea, eye shade, ibuprofen, ginseng, Imodium, neck pillow, Ellie's headphones, premium nuts. Nice.
Why are you traveling with gaffer's tape?
Wait, why is this? I have the same list. Why is this funny?
You gotta have gaffer's tape. You gotta put it over all the lights.
Have you guys seen the show Veep?
Of course.
You know the scene where Selena learns she's going to be president and Gary starts crying and gets a nosebleed and she's going through the bag and taking everything out of the bag? Why would you have this? And it's a huge magnifying glass. It's one of the all-time funniest TV scenes of all time, but that's how I imagine your suitcase. You just have a Leviathan and
you're missing the point. Okay, here we go. On day leaving, throw out old leftovers, close hallway doors so the cat won't get trapped, unplug the hall nightlight, find the cat, make sure the cat has been identified, make sure the cat is somewhere that is not locked in something. This is how OCD works, Max. Big project folder, iPad. Where's some of the other ones? Oh, so I do all of that. I got all that. And so here's the thing. This is the beauty part.
Are you going to the some sort of remote Papua New Guinea where they don't have Imodium at a drugstore?
Oh my God! Obviously, you're not a pilot. You get all of these things, you click the shit out of all of them, and then you have a few things left to do. You hit Command-Shift-A, all of it clears away. You archive all of those tasks and see just the things that you need to do. So the thing is, Do I ever worry that the pilot light is not on? No, I don't, because I got a thing here that says, "Hey, dummy, check the pilot light and make sure." Like John Siracusa will say that this is not effective. I think it's super effective. You do that. Now, then what else do you do when you come back? Turn the water heater back up. Turn the air cleaner back on. Plug and charge the devices. Refill your pill bags. Get the mail. And then, you know what the last thing is? Update this list. Anytime something fucks you up on the road, write it down, and then that gets introduced. You're never going to think about what you need until you need it. You only think about toilet paper when you're on the can, not when you're in the aisle. So when it fucks you up in the hotel room, get mad, write it down, put it on the list, and never make that mistake again. Bag tea, Kit Kat bars, premium nuts. I always want to eat chocolate. I forget. I always eat chocolate in a hotel room, and I forget about it until I'm in a hotel room, and now I'm looking at a $14 Toblerone, and I feel like an asshole. I can't believe you don't have this list. Find cat at house. Find cat. I gotta send you a movie from off the Dropbox last night. I'm sitting there watching TV, and I get a bloop that the front door camera has gone on. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. And I open it, and oddly enough, it's like a moth. It's some kind of like a small moth that the LED light has picked up, but the audio is gold. It's just it's like, what madhouse am I living in with my moths and my meowing cat?
Max, you travel a lot then. So what do you do to prepare? Do you have like a very small, like, is this one of your things where you think that the list should be very short, like a surgeon's checklist and like fit on a postcard? Like, how do you prepare?
Yeah. So specifically for going out of town, I don't have a checklist. I approach the problem in a slightly different way, which is I have a bag of all of my, like, how do I put it? Like all my like bathroom stuff, like toothbrush and pharmaceuticals and whatever. And it's just constantly ready to go. Like it's like my go bag, and I have two of everything.
Do you refill it when you get home?
There's very little in it that like really is consumable or needs to be refilled. So I have, so like one of the things that needs to get refilled is like a small shaving cream thing. And I can either just grab it while I'm on the road. I just run to a CVS and get like a small shaving cream. Or what I'm trying to do now is I got like a Harry's subscription, the Harry's razors, and I just throw the disposable blades. I have like the lowest subscription. I just get like a few things a year, and I just throw the blades and the shaving cream in my bag. And then I also have a suitcase that's like 25% packed all the time. So like here, for example, one of the things that just lives in my suitcase is I have an extra wall charger and lightning cable, and it's not used for anything. It's just all it is that's the one that's in my suitcase, so I don't have to remember to pack it. And I just have extra of everything.
We're talking about, I think, a very silly. I realize I'm silly and how much I over prepare for these things, but I do get neurotic about traveling. It's kind of a hang up of mine. I'm fine once I'm on the road, but the week before I travel makes me very neurotic, and having this helps me keep the demon dogs at bay. And I think everybody's got, once you travel a lot or do whatever a lot, you develop, you learn what you can tolerate and what you can't. You learn like what you can be comfortable with and what you can't. And I think most people just figure out, how do you get compensatory muscles or redundancies that will allow the avoidable shit, the avoidable shit to be avoided. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're all probably doing.
So specifically in terms of travel, there's I travel a lot, so I don't know, like, everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and it's just not that bad. But also, like, there's a great episode of I think it was of Back to Work, and Dan Benjamin was talking about he has like a lot of anxiety about traveling and packing his sort of,
it used to be a really big, I think he's gotten better at, but it used to be like a kind of crippling.
Yeah, I mean, he really struggled with it, with travel anxiety that expressed itself in terms of like what to bring. And, I can relate to that, but he talked about this sort of like exercise he did, like I think maybe even with a therapist or something, where they were like, well, and then what? Right. So he'd be like, well, what if I show up and like I get a headache and I don't have Tylenol or something, and I forget it. And they'd be like, well, and then what? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? You'd go out and you'd get some. And that was really helpful for me. That I was like, yeah, you're rarely going anywhere in the world where you can't sort of go into a drugstore. In fact, in most places in the world, it's easier to go to a drugstore and get whatever you need than it is in the U.S. because you don't have to put your fucking driver's license in to buy a Claritin like a grown-ass man.
God. Oh yeah. Well, so on my to-do list, a big thing, like a big subset of the travel to-do list is all of the medications I need to make sure to pack, because that is the one thing where like, with like the anxiety medication in particular, like if I am in another country or I'm somewhere else, like it's a controlled substance, so it is really hard to get.
Smart.
Lord knows what would happen if you could just let anyone buy anxiety medication over the counter. I mean, society would crumble.
Think about that. Do you really want to live in that world where people are able to just get rid of their anxiety?
The same is true of like morning after pill and birth control. I mean, you can't just let people have that.
No. No.
Everything would just go to shit if people could just get that. No, there should be a complicated series of expensive medical visits for you to get any sort of pharmaceutical product. Not good. Boy, that is not good, that app.
Not good.
Very
Very
bad.
bad. Did I tell you the indignities I suffered? I told you the indignity where I went in, and there's a lady who has a thing about inbox zero. Did I tell you about this?
Please
No,
continue.
please do.
Oh God. Okay, so first of all, with all respect to the guy who put this together, this is obviously highly tuned to his interests, which seem to be getting ripped, getting organized, and doing SEO blog posts. So nothing wrong with that, Hakuna Matata. And I was looking at all the different ones. I tried like 6 of these, and of course, with the flames of the dumpster fire, it was hard to even get this. But I tried it. I thought, I'll do this thing. Let me find, where is this little? Oh yeah. So anyway, I ran across one that sounded really interesting: "The Top Secret Blueprint to Conquering Your Email" by Jill Duffy. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. I'd love to conquer my email. And I went and I clicked. I hit import this project, and I found out the project is called Mailbox Emoji, Getting to Inbox Zero via JillDuffy.csv. So I got that. Didn't even import it. I stopped right there, closed the tab. First day I was able to get done with all of my tasks. It congratulated me. You know how I feel about machines, you guys. Do you know how I feel about machines congratulating me about things? Enjoy your meal. It literally makes me angry. And what was the phrase that it gave me? It told me that I had reached to do a zero, I think. Pound sign to do us zero. You guys, did we ever buy that domain name Merlin Shitlist? Did we ever make that happen?
No, but I think someone bought dailyshowa.com and has it redirecting to our podcast. So thank you for that.
How did they not buy the Daily Show? Thank you so much to the listener who did that. How do you not buy the domain name The Daily Showa if that's the name of your show?
I mean, these are not smart people, Merlin. We're much smarter anti-Semites than they are.
It's the love of Geld. The Jew thinks ahead. The Jew goes with his horns.
Well, you're out there knocking over tombstones day and night, just hoping that Donald Trump gets the blame for it in an elaborate...
Like bears love honey.
Yeah, I mean, what Jew hasn't gone out to knock over a few Jewish tombstones, and you just hope that it gets tied to the president.
Well, a lot of people do that. They do bad things to make people look bad. They call it a false flag.
Okay, I have a question. This is really something is really bothering me. I feel like I'm in some sort of glitch in the matrix. I have to bring this to your attention. So on Twitter, Lucia tweeted 3 hours ago, "Never did my interests come together so beautifully as in Hot Dogs Ladies, quote, read the color of my task joke on Dubai Friday. Pure joy." How did you not just say that 20 minutes ago? How is that possible?
Did I? It's called a bootstrap paradox.
What the
I think I did make that joke on the last episode.
You did?
Yes.
How?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
What was
talk
the
fast.
context?
I say a lot. I talk fast. I drive fast.
You're full of powders. You live a fast life. I get it.
See, this is the problem. Like John Roderick has no idea how funny I am because he doesn't listen to me or the show. He misses a lot of jokes. There's a lot of material in here. If you weren't out there chasing the geld, you would know how funny this shit is. Thanks to everybody who writes in. Can we also talk about the nice piece of art? I don't want to make the show about the show because who fucking cares? But can we also just acknowledge our nice friend?
This will all be edited out. Seriously, someone has to explain this to me. You just made this joke because we were talking about when you flag something.
I made the joke last week.
No, we just made it because we were talking about flagging something in OmniFocus, and you did the little song, Red, the Color of My Task.
Alex, help me out.
If you re-listen to the previous episode, Merlin has indeed made that joke before.
But I'm not going to do that. So what was the context?
The fact that you hate the red. God, this is so boring. You don't talk about the show on the show. Everything that's in the show is in the show. You don't like the red and the black.
No, it's going to be. I know, but what did that have to do with the color of my task?
Well, it's the color of the blood.
But why was it a joke about? We weren't talking about task management last week.
Yes, we were when we were assigning the challenge.
Why is it that you park on the driveway, but you drive on the parkway?
Why? We weren't talking about this last week. Why is it?
Yes, we were. You just stopped listening.
Who are the rocket scientists deciding what's red? Is anybody using this stuff? Is this thing on? I made the joke last week, Max.
All right. End edit. Back to show.
Do you put any protocols in place to make sure you don't take your pills more than once? Do you do anything? I'm just curious because I don't do this, but do you guys do anything that's incredibly compulsive and weird to make sure you don't accidentally forget and take your pills multiple times? Do you do anything? Because I know that would be crazy. Do you guys do anything like that? Do you do anything like you only put these over on the left and these are over on the right and never the twain shall meet? And if I've taken it off the shelf, that means I haven't taken it yet. Do you do anything like that? I get really, really worried about you guys. I forget. I'm pretty sure I took a pill, but I might have already taken it twice. And it really scares me. You got to control your powders. That's part of being a man. You take off your shirt, you sit down and eat some fucking barbecue.
I don't think we should. I don't know if we want to admit this on the show because the thing is, why do people listen to the show, Merlin? It's because they know that we're the experts on the dosing, the powders, the whole lifestyle. And I think if we admit that,
Oh, God, you're right. Cut that out. Here's what you do. You get in there and you get a list. You get a test paper list with about 700 items in it. Find the cat. You want to make sure that's not you don't want to get that thing locked up in a closet again. Get out there and do your own research.
So you're saying in order to be productive, I should probably stop working and I should install task paper and sort of work that into my system.
Yeah, exactly. Work it into your... Did you look at any of these templates? Did you look at these? I mean, nothing against this guy. He's doing this out of the goodness of his heart. Number one project, the Todoist training project. Art of Manliness 31-day journaling challenge. Art of Manliness, 30 days to a better man. The Insanity Workout, a full 63-day schedule for your beach body insanity all caps workout. Oh, you know what? They got Marie Condominium. You can go in and declutter. You can have joy in your life. You thank your things before you throw them away. Thank you for your service. Literally looking down from heaven. KonMari decluttering.
I kind of feel like Merlin and I went on like a Rumspringa and we have now we're like, oh, the outside world is terrible and we've returned to OmniFocus and we just want to churn our butter.
Let me back in the barn. I want to get back in the barn.
Yeah. No, I already knew that the outside world was terrible. That's why I stay in bed and read all day.